Basically, Power BI is data analysis tool, data analyst position, analyzing data, creating reports. That is comes under Power BI basically. So before going to discuss about Power BI, so better to discuss some scenarios related to what is database, what is data warehouse. These things really important for us. See, this is database. So what is the purpose of databases? See, databases are used to store different types of data. So data storage purpose, we use these databases, right? Coming to next scenario. To store data, we can go for files also. Different types of files available in the market. Performance means the speed. Accessing speed of the databases comes under performance. In the same storage capacity, because in real-time environment, we are going to work with the terabyte size of the databases. So their top level storage management is also really important for us. So these are all can be provided by only databases. That's why generally to store data, we use different databases. Even not only data storage, even you can modify data. Anytime you can modify data and you can perform data return will be there. So this type of issues, performance related issues will be there. That's why we are not going to use that type of data to perform these activities. So we need some other environment which maintains historical data. Historical means without modifications, non-volatile. Volatile means what? Modifications. We need some environment where we can avoid these modifications. We can maintain historical data. That we call it as a data warehouse database. So this is related to what? Data warehouse. So how it is related to data warehouse? Let us see that now. See, for example, this is your Power BI environment. So what are the operations we are going to perform in Power BI from the beginning? From the beginning, what type of operations we are going to perform in Power BI? Copy data. In the beginning, we are going to copy data from different data sources to Power BI environment. So copy data is not going to modify anything. For example, you have some table in the source. You're going to copy table from source to Power BI. That is not going to modify, right? So copy data is not going to make any changes to your database. Non-volatile. So copy data is not going to modify, right? Next scenario. Transform data. Generally transform data, next DAX, next visualization creation. So generally these are the major operations we are going to perform in Power BI. Okay, fine. But the thing is, Power BI also non-volatile environment only. We are not going to make any changes to data even in Power BI. But when I'm talking about copy data, transform data, DAX data, you feel like data is going to modify. That is not correct. I'll tell you the reason. So copy data I already explained. Transform data. Basically, we use transformations to bring the data into required format. See, simple scenario. After copying data or while copying data, you are going to work with the transformations, right? For example, we have some table products in this source, and this table contains some column sales amount. Now, I'm going to copy same table from source to Power BI. Products table with what? Sales amount column. Okay. But it is not plain copy. So plain copy directly copy and save. That's all. But it's not. It's not plain copy. We have something different requirement here. Suppose sales amount is greater than 3,000, then only copy. I got my requirement right? Suppose sales amount is greater than 3,000. Then only copy. Otherwise, don't copy. Then what to do? I write some condition. See, there we have some condition there. What is the condition? Sales amount is greater than 3,000. By writing this condition, we are going to copy data, required data. So what happens? Only salary greater than 3,000 data will be, sales amount greater than 3,000 data will be copied. That means what you are doing here, you are just copying only required data from source to Power BI. Are you modifying anything? Anybody please tell me? Are you modifying anything here? No, we are not modifying anything. It is not modifying anything. Just what it is doing, it is copying only required data. So it is non-volatile operation. So this type of operations comes under transformations. What it is? Transformation. Right? And so next scenario, now it's clear. Transformation is not going to modify anything. This is only for data transformation purpose. I mean, bring data into required format purpose only. No doubt. Right? Coming to next scenario, DAX. DAX stands for Data Analysis Expressions. Formula language. We use DAX for data related calculations purpose. Right? In databases, we are going, not databases, in Power BI environment, we are going to perform calculations. Different types of calculations we are going to perform. You can ask some question here, sir, why we perform calculations in databases, tell me. In data warehouse, tell me. Common questions. For example, you copied products table with sales amount column from source to Power BI. So now you are going to create some report. See, what is the final scenario we are doing in Power BI? Report creation only, dashboards creation only, right? Finally, in Power BI, what we are going to do, tell me, reporting. Report creation, dashboard creation, we are going to do. Right? Okay, fine. You copied data, you transformed it. Now you are going to create some report. You have sales amount column, but this is monthly sales amount. What type of sales amount column is available? Monthly sales amount is available. But your report, you need yearly sales amount. sales amount into 12. You are doing some calculation here. What's the calculation? Sales amount into 12. Because you need annual sales amount to create report. You don't have annual sales amount in our environment. You have only monthly sales amount. So you have to do some calculation. So doing like this. But we do this calculation by using DAX function. Right? And by using DAX functions only, we are doing these calculations. So is it going to modify anything in the database? No. It is not modifying anything. So totally what I'm trying to explain, Power BI is pure data warehouse environment. In Power BI, we are not going to perform any data modifications because it is non-volatile environment. You just perform copy data, transform data, DAX data, any type of operations. But ultimately, these are only for bring data into required format because we are going to create reports, dashboards, some format of the data is required for us. For that format of the data, we are going to perform transformations and DAX functions. That's my point. And next, visualization area. Visualizations means what? Creating reports. Different types of reports we are going to create. Right? In the same way, need more clarity on this Power BI environment, what we are going to do.
Your voice is breaking, sir.
How is it now? Is it okay now? Okay.
Yes, sir, it is fine now.
Right. So generally in Power BI environment, we are going to work with the different scenarios like this. Right. And in the beginning, we have some data source. For example, what is our data source? For example, SQL Server database. Just assumption. From SQL Server data source, we are going to copy data into Power BI desktop environment. What is the tool name? Power BI desktop. So whatever the operations I discussed till now, like copy data, transform data, DAX data, creating visualization, these are all we are going to perform in Power BI desktop only. So major development we are going to perform in Power BI by using desktop only. So after finishing your development here, you are going to publish your work. whatever you developed, you are going to publish. Because why we are developing all these things, tell me? Because of customers. Right, and okay, na? To share customers, we are going to do these development activities. So from Power BI desktop, you cannot share anything to customers. This is only for development purpose. So after finishing development, you're going to publish. Your published work is going to store in Power BI service center. From Power BI service, we are going to share them to customers. Even we are going to create a dashboard in this service environment only. So dashboard means what? It is collection of different visualizations, related visualizations. So this is a user environment, end user environment. Some application will be there, some other environment will be there. Now what you are doing, you are developing these things here, you are going to publish them to service, right? And from service, you are going to share them to users. See, your important thing is coming to desktop environment. Here only we have building blocks of the Power BI. So building blocks of the Power BI are Power Query, Power Pivot, and Power View. Power BI development means these activities only. No doubt. Power Query, Power Pivot, and Power View. So Power Query means transformations area. This is transformation area. Power Pivot means DAX. DAX, data modeling, creating relationships between tables, defining cross filters. These are all comes under Power Pivot. So this area is purely related to data operations. That's why we say copy data, transform data, DAX data. We are going to perform these tasks directly on data. Because before going to create report, you have to bring data into your required format. Because see, you are working with some scenario, some project means some requirements will be there, right? Based on requirements only, you are going to work. Then we have Power View also. Power View means what? Visualization creation. So Power View concept is different. That means overall Power BI development, we have data related operations and visualization creation operations. right? So now coming to next scenario, prerequisites. Prerequisites there for this training. SQL queries part is required. Transformations, DAX, purely coming from SQL queries part. No doubt. In the same way, data warehouse concepts knowledge is also required for us. See, SQL queries we are going to discuss in this training only. Data warehouse concepts also we are going to discuss in this training only. Right? So you no need to go for some other training. In the same way, if you are ready to learn complete SQL developer, Power BI participant can attend complete SQL development class also. Right, and that is also available in this institute, Durga Sir. Clear? But remember, you go for data warehouse or database related scenarios, whatever it. Database development or data warehouse. SQL queries knowledge is required, no doubt. Some people says that if you know basics of the SQL, you can work. How can you work? You're going to work with real-time environment. Basic knowledge, how can you perform operations still? Am I right or not? Straight question. Not my point. So these are all. And I said power pivot. Power pivot means we are going to work with the data modeling concept there. Right, Andy? Modeling concept means we are working with fact table, dimension tables concepts. Because see, those concepts are coming from data warehouse. Because in the beginning, database we started, then we discussed about data warehouse. So to work with some scenarios of the Power BI, we need data warehouse concepts. That's why we are going to work with those things also. Because prerequisites in this training only, no doubt.
Hello.
Yeah, please, Srinu. I can hear you. Srinu, I can hear you.
Yeah. So when we attend this class, yeah. When we attend this class, we are going to do some real-time scenarios in the real work environment. Suresh.
See, Srinu, one thing is important. Real work environment you can get easily. See, real work environment you can get only in our job, in our project only. When you are attending any training, don't expect that. Frankly speaking, okay, now what we can provide,
Okay.
we can guide you towards real-time environment, but we cannot show real-time environment because it is training environment, right? Okay, now we are giving project. Project means you'll get idea. Okay, fine, what we are going to do in real time. Process you are going to learn. Okay, now right? Right. Anybody, please? Any questions? Any? Okay, right then, let's do one thing. Let's meet tomorrow with remaining things. After finishing tomorrow's class, you'll get more clarity. Bye. In yesterday's class, we discussed about some scenarios related to and we discussed what are the things we are going to do in Power BI. Clear-cut information we discussed. So today, we are going to discuss about more related in that process. What are the different scenarios we are going to do? And from where the project is going to start. These are all really important. Now, in the beginning, copying data. We are going to work with different data sources. From data source, we are going to copy data, then we are going to transform. Different things will be there. So here, important scenario is so we have some data source, Power BI desktop, Power BI service, end user related scenarios. Suppose this is our data source. From this data source, we're going to copy data. Right? And so maximum scenarios, what happens, you are going to work with some data source means it will be database only. Maximum SQL server database will be there. Okay. So coming to next scenario. From data source, we are going to copy data into desktop. In this desktop only, we are going to transform, right? And DAX, different scenarios we are doing here. See, an important point is, for example, we have some table here in the source. So every time why I'm talking about tables, because in RDBMS databases, in the same in Power BI, data is going to store in the form of tables only. So simple logic. What we are doing here, we are minimizing number of tables. So burden will be minimized. So performance will be increased. That is the key point we are discussing. So we're going to create report. If any DAX is required, we perform DAX. Yesterday I discussed. Your data source is volatile. And our data warehouse is non-volatile. This is the point we discussed yesterday, right? Some of you attended yesterday's class. Some new participants there today. Non-volatile means, so that is the importance of transformation. Not only merge transformation, we have different types of transformations there. Basically, merge transformation is joins concept of the SQL. In yesterday's class, I discussed some points. What are the prerequisites there for Power BI? SQL Server queries part and data warehouse concepts. So these transformations coming from SQL only, SQL queries only, functions. Up to completion of this query. So thus query execution completes, then you are going to finish your task, right? For that, we are using DAX, data analysis expressions. DAX functions. What is seasonal? Seasonal is functional. Seasonal is functional. We are working with DAX functions only. Purpose of the DAX. So then you're going to create visualization, report. Even one thing, after completion of this, if any modifications done in the source, those modifications will be copied to Power BI from source. In the same, they'll be copied to DAX, then they'll be copied to report also. That we call it as refresh concept. Tomorrow I'm going to discuss that refresh concept. Refresh data. Refresh data means copy latest modifications done in the source to Power BI environment. If you already created report with that data in Power BI, even that report also gets modifications, refreshed modifications. Right, Annie? So these are really important. So coming to next scenario, yesterday I discussed some points here. Data modeling concept, Power BI modeling. What is that Power BI modeling? 1 second. So modeling means relationships. Relationships between tables. Previously, we discussed about joins. That is not relationship. So different tables data you are going to combine. That's what we did. But now the scenario is different. Going to copy from source to Power BI. Right? And even after copying, you're going to store those tables in Power BI environment permanently, right? So there also we should go for relationship between tables. Because these tables contains common data, right? And common column. So relationship between tables we are going to establish. Previously I discussed about merge concept, that is different concept. Merge concept is different. Because merge combined data. Now we are not going to combine. They are separate tables, different tables only. Even inside Power BI also, we are going to store them as different tables only. But relationship we are going to establish. What is the advantage of creating relationship? Then report creation. Suppose you created some report. Different scenarios will be there. Then formatting report, then filter report. 3 different scenarios you are going to work in the report. So you are going to take data and creating some report here. Then you have to format visualization. Different themes, different layouts, backgrounds, colors, fonts, size. So general formatting, visual formatting, different things will be there. You have to make that report attractive, right? That we are going to do with formatting. Then filtering data inside report. Suppose you created some report. How to filter data? For example, now we discussed different employees, different departments. So you created report with all employees, all departments data. Now there is some person, some user wants to see particular department number related data. So you have to provide access to that department number data only, right? So this type of requirements will be there. For that we are going to use filters. Filtering data. So previously I discussed some points. Transformation. So DAX also given some real-time example. And now this filter concept. Group by class. These are all filters only, right? So these are all coming from SQL Server queries part only. Right? So Power Query going to follow. Suppose you created some report, then if you want to make changes to that report, you can edit that report. You can edit and you can make changes to the report. That is also possible, don't worry. In the same way, this is desktop, right? Here, whatever the things up to now I discussed in today's class, we are going to perform them in this desktop environment only. So after finishing your work from here, you're going to publish it into Power BI service environment. This is service. This Power BI service, I can say it is like, to share your work to customers. To share your work to customers. In the same way, dashboard creation is also really important. So maximum projects we are going to create dashboards. Dashboards we can do in Power BI service only. Here only sometimes we are going to create Deployment pipeline. Deployment, what is the deployment pipeline? Development, then testing, then production. So in the beginning, development will be done. Then it goes to test environment. Then it goes to production. So the deployment pipelines creation and creating apps. Apps creation is important. They will give you some user account. You are connecting to their application and you are going to finish your exam. Am I right or not? In this scenario, after finishing your exam, they will give you some report there. So total marks, percentage, where you scored more, where you scored less. This type of graphs kind of visualizations they are going to give you. Where you are accessing those visualizations in the application only. But those visualizations not created in application. Application is just user purpose, user access purpose. Right? And so they are developed in some reporting tool, like for example, Power BI, based on the data. That is really important for us. So how to embed that report? Like just information. Your role is up to service only. Embed is not related to Power BI developer. But still, if you know something extra, that will really good for you, right? So little bit about embedding Power BI reports, Power BI dashboards into applications. Internal users purpose, external users purpose. So what are the licenses required? What are the security scenarios required? Something real-time environment. So these type of things we are going to discuss under this training. End-to-end training. So at the ending, I'm going to give you some projects for practice purpose. One or two projects I'm going to provide you. You can use them for practice purpose. Clear? So these are all we are going to do. So I think you got some clarity now, end to end, what we are doing in Power BI. The major scenarios of the Power BI development are copy data, transform data, DAX data, and visualization creation, dashboard creation, publishing. These are all comes under major scenarios. Design. All right. Any questions, please?
I actually wanted to ask, but I didn't want to disturb you before. So when I registered for this, today was the first class. That's what I was assuming.
So yesterday I discussed the introduction part with us. Don't worry about that. You have not missed anything. Okay.
Okay.
Just what is database, what is data warehouse, those things only I discussed. We will give you that recording also. Don't worry about that. Okay, no?
Okay. Only question being like in the future when everything, I was reading the prerequisites were SQL Server knowledge beforehand.
Yes. Yes.
So how much of that would play a part in this?
Actually, SQL Server complete queries knowledge is required because we have different types of query concepts in SQL environment. All those query concepts required for us. Because of that reason only, in Power BI class, we are going to discuss SQL. And if you want, you can attend separate SQL class also. Complete SQL Server training you can attend if you have free time. So that we are doing morning 6 o'clock now, SQL Server development class. Complete end-to-end SQL development will be there. And Power BI class at 5 p.m. Okay, no? Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody, please? Any questions? Okay. Let's do one thing. Let's meet tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to start with Power BI scenarios. Okay, no? Right then. See you. In yesterday's class, we discussed about some scenarios like complete details about the project environment and how it is going to work in real time. Every scenario we discussed in the last session, yesterday's class. And coming to next case. We are going to discuss about the introduction part of the Power BI practical environment. I mean, Power BI desktop. The major tools in Power BI environment we are going to work are Power BI desktop, Power BI service. Okay. So Power BI desktop is for development purpose. Complete development activities of the Power BI we are going to perform in Power BI desktop environment only. Okay. So I show you how to install Power BI desktop. Even I'll help you in SQL Server installation also. You don't worry about that. And coming to next scenario. Basically, in Power BI environment, real time we are going to work with licensed software. But now, practical purpose in this training environment, we are going to work with free software. So we have different versions of the. Now, what are the versions? Right, free version, pro version, and premium version. So these are the different versions of the Power BI we have. So coming to next scenario. Free version, directly we can download it from official website of the Microsoft Corporation. And we can use it for practice purpose. No doubt. Coming to next step. Pro version, premium version. Pro version of the SQL Server, premium version of the SQL Server, there you know, licensed softwares. So generally when you're working with real-time environment, real-time project, so we are going to work with the pro version of the SQL and premium version of the SQL. Sorry, Power BI. That's okay. See, pro version, premium version, licensed. That means if you want to work with those versions, you have to purchase license, then only you can work with them. That's fine. But when we are going to work with the pro version and premium, what is the difference between pro version and premium version? So that is really important. Forget about free. Free means that is only for practice purpose. Real time project purpose, we cannot use free version of the skills. Suppose table name is what? Products. So in this table, we have different columns like this. Suppose column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. This area comes under structure of the table. Right, Andy? Structure of the table. See, after creating structure, what we are doing, we are going to insert data into table like this in the form of what? Rows. So this is rows. That's why we say like what is table means it is collection of columns and rows. This area comes under data. So this is structure of the table. This is data of the table. Structure means what? Columns. Data means what? Rows. Got my point, all of you? So maintain clarity. So now coming to next scenario. We have table here. Table contains these things. The same table we are going to copy from source to Power BI. And structure and data. Everything is going to copy from source to Power BI. So coming to Power BI environment, we call structure as metadata, rows data as physical data. Okay, Nene? So little terminology is going to change between your data source and the Power BI. So in SQL environment, we call it as structure, and coming to Power BI environment, we call it as metadata. In the same way, in SQL environment, we call it as data. Coming to Power BI environment, we call it, right? Same concept. Concept is not going to change, but terminology is going to change. Okay, na? So this is the point. Okay, that's fine. See, next question is, so format of the data. Format of the data is clear. Table only. So no need to discuss columns, sales amount. Of course, we have some other columns also. I'm going to discuss some points related to sales amount from products table. That's why I mentioned that column there. Fine. So now, okay, forget about sales amount. We'll discuss that later. We have some table products. So 10 rows of the data there in the table, I mean products table in the source. Now you are going to copy products table from source to Power BI. Okay. The different ways are import and direct query. So by using import, by using direct query, we can copy data from source to Power BI environment. Okay, now? We can copy data from source to Power BI environment. Okay, fine. So what is import? Let us see. Suppose you are using import, table structure and data. Everything will be copied. Okay, Nandi? Table structure and data, everything will be copied from source to Power BI environment. That is import. See, we can use import databases and connection will be there between your Power BI and your data source because you are using direct query. Got my point, all of you? So in this scenario, physical data we are not going to copy. We are going to copy only metadata. Only metadata, not physical data. And coming to next scenario, one more point. Direct query can be used for only databases. Right? Only for databases. Direct query, you cannot use it for file. Right, Andy? So this is what the scenario. Now, okay, fine. Suppose, forget about direct query for some time. Right, Andy? Forget about direct query for some time. We used import. So what happened? Table structure, data copied from source to Power BI. Fine. Okay. 10 rows there in the source table. 10 rows copied from source item. Now, you did copy. Copying data from source to Power BI is done. Now, what happened? You know, fine. But my question is, different scenarios to copy data from source to Power BI. Import and direct query. Import and direct query. Can I use refresh for import and direct query or not? This is the question. Import, we can use refresh. The reason I'll tell. See, if you are using import, what happens? You know, the data is going to copy from source to Power BI, right? Data is going to copy from source to Power BI if you are using import. So then if any modifications done in the source, then you have to copy them from source to Power BI. That is import. So refresh is required. Next scenario, direct query. If you are going for direct query, data direct query, fresh concept, clear or any questions, please? Any questions, please? Right? Okay, now? So this is required in the beginning. So the scenarios today we discussed, they are base for Power BI training. I think tomorrow's class, they're going to change link and contact training team. In the same way,
I have
tomorrow
a question. Can I use?
Power BI environment. So we are in the beginning only, so close this window.
So actually today's session was this one, no? To how to download and install all these, correct? That is,
Yeah, that we will do. Wait, okay, na?
Yeah.
So this is the environment. This is called as class.
what is the timing? Yeah.
4 p.m. now. After some time, new batch will start again.
Okay. So we have to come to the new batch only, correct?
And I'll show you. Okay. But we'll do later. Now, it's simple to install. You go to this environment. So in this environment, development activities, right? So coming to next scenario. Right side, you can see fields. Under fields only, we can work with for that table. Metadata means what? Table names, column names. We discussed in the last session, right? Table names, column names comes here. If you come to left side, you can see report view, data view, and model view. Data will come here. Right? You can work with this. And coming to next scenario. Now, we are going to perform different types of